wonderland of which he had never so much as had a dream. In these few minutes, nature was at work upon him. He possessed no knowledge, but instinct was born within him. He knew this was his world, that the sun and the warmth were for him, and that the sweet things of the earth were inviting him into his heritage. He puckered up his little brown nose and sniffed the air, and the pungency of everything that was sweet and to be yearned for came to him. And he listened. His pointed ears were pricked forward, and up to him came the drone of awakening earth. Even the roots of the grasses must have been singing in their joy, for all through that sunlit valley there was the low and murmuring music of a country that was at peace because it was empty of men. Everywhere was the rippling sound of running water, and he heard strange sounds that he knew was life. The twittering of a rock sparrow, the silver-toned aria of a black-throated thrush down in the fen, the shrill paean of a gorgeously colored Canada jay exploring for a nesting place in a brake of velvety balsam. And then, far over his head, a screaming cry that made him shiver. It was instinct again that told him in that cry was danger. Nuzek looked up and saw the shadow of Upisk, the great eagle, as it flung itself between the sun and the earth. Niwa saw the shadow and cringed nearer to his mother. And Nuzak, so old that she had lost half her teeth, so old that her bones ached on damp and chilly nights, and her eyesight was growing dim, was still not so old that she did not look down with growing exultation upon what she saw. Her mind was traveling beyond the mere valley in which they had wakened. Off there, beyond the walls of forest, beyond the farthest lake, beyond the river and the plain, were the illimitable spaces which gave her home. To her came dully a sound uncaught by Niwa, the almost unintelligible rumble of the great waterfall. It was this, and the murmur of 1,000 trickles of running water, and the soft wind breathing down in the balsam and spruce that put the music of spring into the air. At last Nuzek heaved a great breath out of her lungs, and with a grunt to Niwa began to lead the way slowly down among the rocks to the foot of the ridge. In the golden pool of the valley it was even warmer than on the crest of the ridge. Nuzek went straight to the edge of the slough. Half a dozen rice birds rose with a whir of wings that made Niwa almost upset himself. Nuzek paid no attention to them. A loon let out a squawky protest at Nuzek's soft-footed appearance, and followed it up with a raucous screech that raised the hair on Niwa's spine. And Nuzek paid no attention to this. Niwa observed these things. His eye was on her, and instinct had already winged his legs with the readiness to run if his mother should give the signal. In his funny little head it was developing very quickly that his mother was a most wonderful creature. She was by all odds the biggest thing alive, that is, the biggest that stood on legs and moved. He was confident of this for a space of perhaps 2 minutes, when they came to the end of the fen. And here was a sudden snort, a crashing of bracken, the floundering of a huge body through knee-deep mud, and a monstrous bull moose, 4 times as big as Nuzek, set off in lively flight. Niwa's eyes all but popped from his head. And still Nuzek paid no attention. It was then that Niwa crinkled up his tiny nose and snarled, just as he had snarled at Nuzek's ears and hair, and at sticks he had